The Nutty Putty Cave tragedy is a harrowing tale of exploration turned nightmare, showcasing both the allure and dangers of spelunking. This is the story of John Jones and the Nutty Putty Cave incident. The incident happened on November 24, 2009, at around 8 p.m. John Jones was exploring the cave system with a group of friends. John was living in Virginia with his wife and had a daughter, and he was attending medical school to become a pediatric surgeon. He was in his hometown for Thanksgiving, and he and his friends decided to explore a cave. Before thanks, he was attracted to the challenge and excitement of exploring the cave system. John Jones was introduced to cave exploration by his father, John Edward Jones, an experienced caver who had taken his sons John and Josh on many caving trips since childhood. Their shared love for adventure and exploration led them to explore various caves together, but he had not explored this particular cave before because of its closure by the authorities. They used to explore caves in their native city, Stansbury Park, Utah, USA. John never got a chance to explore Nutty Putty before this incident because, in 2004, 2 Boy Scouts nearly escaped death in this cave, that too in a duration of 1 week, due to which authorities closed this cave for cavers to explore until May 2009. In one case, rescue crews took 14 hours to rescue a 16-year-old scout from the cave. When reopened, the authorities installed a door at the entrance of Nutty Putty Cave to manage access to the cave for 2 persons per pass to explore and ensure visitor safety. John managed to get passes to the cave for his family. His wife was pregnant with a second baby and stayed home for a relaxing day at her in-laws. Nutty Putty Cave was known for its complex network of passages, chambers and tunnels, making it a challenging and intriguing destination for cavers. Nutty Putty Cave has been a popular destination for caving enthusiasts due to its unique geological formations and challenging passages. Nutty Putty Cave is situated in the West Desert of Utah County, Utah, in the western United States. More specifically, it is located near the town of Dugway, approximately 14 miles west of Utah Lake and about 55 miles south of Salt Lake City, the capital of Utah. John Jones entered Nutty Putty Cave from its main entrance, located on the western slope of Nutty Putty Hill, which was the primary access point to the cave. Upon entering, the group explored the Big Slide, a sloping passage or chamber in the cave. After that, John, his brother Josh, and 2 friends decided to try to find a more challenging section they had heard of, called the Birth Canal. This passage has one of several tight squeezes within Nutty Putty Cave that opened in a larger room. Birth Canal likely earned its name due to its narrow dimensions, which may require cavers to contort their bodies as they navigate through it. John Jones did not become trapped in the Birth Canal passage. He became stuck in a narrow cave called Bob's Push. This passage was particularly tight, and John Jones inadvertently slid headfirst into it, becoming wedged upside down. He found a hole in the wall that he thought led to the Birth Canal and went in head first. John Jones made several attempts to free himself. He tried crawling by his stomach. However, he realized the cave narrowed as he crawled. He tried to exhale the air in his chest so that he could fit through a space that was barely 10 inches across and 18 inches high, about the size of the opening of a clothes dryer. But when John inhaled again and his chest puffed back out, he got stuck. John Edward Jones's brother was the first to find him. Josh tried pulling at his brother's calves, but that did not work for him. But then John slid into the passage even further, trapped worse than before. His arms were now pinned beneath his chest, and he couldn't move at all. "Guide us as we work through this," Josh prayed. "Save me for my wife and kids," John said. Josh went toward the exit of the cave to get help. But when help came, John was still trapped 400 feet into the cave and 100 feet below the Earth's surface. Getting people, equipment, and supplies down that far took an hour. Multiple attempts were made to free John Jones from the narrow passage where he was trapped. Rescuers employed various techniques, including mechanical devices and manual efforts, to get him out of the cave. Despite their efforts, they could not free John Jones from his position. When he became stuck upside down in the passage, His body was positioned so that pulling him straight out was not feasible. The first person to arrive to help, Susan, was a local rescue volunteer who immediately dropped everything she was doing when she received the message on her rescue pager and rushed to the scene with her Toyota. She arrived sometime around midnight. It was now more than 3 hours since John had been trapped deep inside the cave. Susan took no time to reach John, who was small, agile, and quick. "Hi John, my name is Susie. How's it going?" "Hi Susie, thanks for coming," John said, "but I really want to get out." Within the next few hours, tens and tens of rescuers arrived. The rescue team quickly brainstormed a plan after a plan. They discussed everything, even lubing the cave walls, until they decided to use a rescue rope that passes through a series of climbing cams with one end tied around John's legs and the other pulled by the team. At the same time, they tried drilling away chunks of rock near John, but the hard material and the awkward position made drilling slow and painful. They only managed to drill through a couple of inches of rock in over an hour. The position of John's body is also complicated. He was trapped nearly upside down, only his feet were visible to the rescuers, and the ceiling above the feet hung so low the rescuers couldn't just pull him out as his feet would get in the way. The time they were passed as rescuers worked frantically and failed with their first system of climbing cams. They then tried to use a rope pulley system, anchoring the pulleys with bolts and drilling the bolts deep into the cave walls. Everything was made more difficult by how narrow the cave was. Even though there was a large team of rescuers, volunteers, emergency services, and a rescue helicopter outside, only one person could directly access John. Meanwhile, John was doing worse. He had now been stuck upside down for a long time, having some difficulty breathing, and his heart had to work twice as hard against gravity to push the continuous blood flow out of his brain. He was swinging back and forth between panic and calmness. At one point, they brought a two-way cable radio into the cave and managed to lower it to him so he could speak with his wife, who was near the cave entrance on the surface. They were both agitated but comforted each other. John had now been trapped upside down for 19 hours. Everything changed when the rescuers finally finished installing their pulley system and started pulling John out. They worked in an 8-man tandem, all tugging as one. John was, at times, in great pain, so they made frequent pauses. But each time they pulled, they managed to pull John up a bit more. After pulling him upwards the third time, John was lifted high enough to make eye contact with the rescuer closest to him. He looked tired, his eyes were red, and his face was dirty, but he seemed fine otherwise. "How are you?" "It sucks. I'm upside down. I can't believe I'm upside down. My legs are killing me." The rescuer saw that even though John complained, he smiled. They had another rest and then decided to continue pulling John up. He was almost out when the disaster strikes. Something happened when the rescue team pulled John upward for the fourth time. The entire team fell backward as the rope suddenly went loose in their hands. The closest rescuer felt something hard hit his face, and he passed out for a second. When he came to, he saw nothing but dust. Once the dust settled, he realized the stone arch near John's legs, where the rope was tied around, had shattered, and the nearest key bolt had broken off. He couldn't determine where exactly John was in the dust, but soon he realized John had slid right down the aperture again, seemingly even deeper than before. As the rescuer suffered severe facial injuries from the impact with a metal carabiner and couldn't continue his rescue efforts, he had to switch places with his dad, who was also on the rescue team. When he reached John, he realized that John's breathing was much more shallow and less frequent, and he was struggling to stay alive. The rescuer called for John but received no response. Desperate, he tried to lower himself into the crevice to put the rope around John's waist but got stuck. After finally wriggling himself free, he drilled a new hole for the pulley and crawled out of the cave, exhausted, to be replaced by another rescuer who reached John but couldn't contact him. Soon after, a medical professional crawled into the cave and reached John. Despite their efforts to assess his condition and provide medical assistance, they were unable to reach him due to the challenging conditions of the cave and the narrow passage where he was trapped. Tragically, Jones had passed away before they were able to reach him, it was decided to cover the entrance with concrete so no such incident happen again. A plaque was indeed placed at Nutty Putty Cave in memory of John Jones. The plaque serves as a memorial to him and marks the location where he became trapped. At midnight, November 25th, John was pronounced dead.